and you'll probably have it the rest of your life.
And crafted a memorable run to the A2 championship. This group is so talented, so well-rounded, we decided to name the whole team our Student Athletes of the Week. Greg Burton has more.
The Bear Lake basketball team capped off a dream season Saturday by winning the A2 state championship, the first in the school's history. It was the culmination of months of hard work and dedication. But what few people realize is that the Bears apply that same hard work and dedication in the classroom. The Bears also took home the academic state title for having the highest team GPA of any A2 basketball team, a remarkable 3.60.
We're a pretty good team, and we work hard to do good in school, and we have a lot of good teachers here at the school that push us to do good, and we try our best to do our best in everything in school and in sports.
Well, for me, my mom's a teacher, and she'd kill me if I didn't do well, but for all the other guys, I guess they just studied hard and just concentrated on what they had to do.
The team could hardly concentrate on school or basketball a month ago when their friend and teammate, Cody Pugmire, was killed in a car accident. The tragedy could have wiped out all that the team had worked for, but instead, it made them stronger and more determined than ever to win a state title for the school, the community, and for Cody.
We just kept Cody in the back of our minds, and we wanted this ever since we were knee-high to grasshopper. It was just exciting for us, and we did it.
I think that's what he would have wanted. He wouldn't wanted us to quit, give up, and just forget about it. He wanted us to go on and do what we had to do to win it.
And what a great story. Got to feel good for those kids down there after what they went through this year. And how about the Avalanche? You know,
come away with the state championship. The question is, which one? Trust me, Mike, it will not be bad news there. It will be good news for either of these teams getting a chance to win an A2 championship. Moscow won in 1980. Bear Lake, they have not won a championship. First ever final for their coach, so a lot of excitement tonight. No question about it. Bear Lake here in the championship for the first time since 1967. We take a look at the road that got them here. Unbelievable. For Bear Lake, they had to take on Bishop Kelly, the #1 seed, a perfect 22-0 record during the regular season, and they defeat BK by 14 points. Kellogg, the #4 seed, a 7-point win for Bear Lake last night. We happened to catch that. Moscow, meanwhile, #3 seed to start the tournament. They defeat Marsh Valley by 24 points. They split by Valley View, 2 free throws by Scott Strobel with 2 seconds left. The difference in that ball game last night, but both teams coming in with momentum. Moscow has won 9 straight. Bear Lake has won 4 straight. Bear Lake got here by playing good, solid defense and good fundamental basketball under head coach Ken Park. But really the man who leads them on the floor, point guard Dress Wallentyne, he's been battling a sore knee, however. Dress Wallentyne has scored 31 points in this tournament, 19 in the opening game win, and came back with 12 points last night. But the difference for Wallentyne last night, he didn't really score until the fourth quarter when he had 9 of his points and went 7 straight free throws in the last 2.5 minutes. That point guard, you're going to need that kind of leadership, and yes, you want to keep an eye out on the knee of Russ Wallentyne. Whether he'll start tonight or not, still a question mark up to this point. Meanwhile, for Moscow, they are led by the point guard Adam Miller, really the floor general for the Bears. Just a junior, but Miller, 26 points in the 2 tournament games, averaging 13 points. You can do the simple math. He's knocked down his free throws. He's a co-captain on this team, and more than anything, a guy that sets the tempo, establishes what they want to do offensively and defensively, and the size. Definitely going to Moscow. They bring out 6'10" off the bench. They've got 6'7" to start with, so Bear Lake needs to concentrate on rebounding tonight. Bear Lake and Moscow just about ready to tip it off here at Holt Arena. Joining us throughout the telecast this evening will be Jeff Caves, who'll have updates for us. He'll also be bringing you championship highlights of the A3 and A4 championship games. Meanwhile, let's go over to Jeff and hear from him.
Mike and Sean, I'll be bringing you all the injury update and coaching update information during timeouts here from the sidelines. But so far, I've already found out some inside information. If you're looking at this game and trying to handicap it based on the mascot, well, the Moscow Bear is a little bit more like a grizzly bear, and the Bear Lake Bear is a little bit more towards the Yogi Bear. So far, I give the edge to Moscow. We'll be back with the tip-off between Bear Lake and Moscow for the Real Dairy Shootout A2 State Basketball Championship live from Holt Arena in Pocatello.
kids.
Finally, after all these years of picture for kids, well, today, therefore, rabbit.
Welcome back to Holt Arena, everyone. Starting lineups being introduced to this capacity crowd here at Holt Arena for the A2 championship of the 1996 Real Dairy Shootout. For the Bear Lake Bears, they come in the #2 team in the state in A2, 21-3 overall, under head coach Ken Parks in his 8th year. The Bears tonight will start at the guard, Russ Wallenstein. He is a 6-foot senior. At the other guard will be Kip Carlson, another 6-foot senior. At the center position is Brady Carlson, the leading scorer on the team, a 6'4 senior. Evan Hodge, a 6'3 senior, will be at 1 forward. And Chet Keats, the second leading scorer on the team, a 6'2 senior, will be at the other forward position. Meanwhile, for Moscow, the other Bears, #3 in the state. They are under head coach Don Dudley in his 2nd season. He will send out tonight at the starting lineup Ryan Dudley, his son, a 5'9 junior, will be at 1 guard. Adam Miller, who we talked about, the 5'10 junior, at the point. Drew Owen, a 6'7 junior, will be the starting center. And the 2 co-captains at the forwards, Jeff Lathan, a 6'2 senior, at 1 forward, and Zeke Johnson, really the leader of this team, a 6'2 senior, will be the other forward for the Moscow Bears, looking for their first state title since 1980. For Bear Lake, looking for their first ever. So it sets up a lot of excitement for both schools, as it's been quite a while since either one's come away with a state championship.
Mike, you talked about the starters, and there is a lot to talk about. Definitely the catalyst and the keys to these two teams, the starters. But both teams have shown that their bench can perform in this kind of competition. Moscow averaging 20 points a game from their bench in the state tournament. Bear Lake, they bump it up even more, 23.5 points from their bench. So if the starters aren't getting it done, either coach not afraid to go to the bench and say, guys, we need to pick it up a little bit.
You'll see some rotation of players, too, because both of these teams will go 9 and 10 deep. And both teams will get after it defensively. Thus far, Moscow has been very impressive defensively in the state tournament, holding opponents to an average of 45.5 points a game.
They've got the size down low. Also, they're a team, though, that I think you can press a little bit. Interesting, before the game, Don Dudley said if our team gets behind, not a problem. We've been that type of team throughout the season where that kind of adversity didn't set us back. I personally think that if Bear Lake can take the lead and maintain a lead, as they did last night in their win over Kellogg, the free throws down the stretch, they really spaced things and opened things up when they were using their press break. But I guess early on, you just want to get the nerves out of the way and see if you can get to play.
Both teams will try to channel that into defense and see which one can come away with the state championship. Our officials tonight, Dan Story and Hugh Foster, jumping it up for the 2 clubs. That'll be Drew Owen going for Moscow. He on the left, and jumping it up for Bear Lake will be Brady Carlson. We're just about ready to get underway. A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout, and it's Bear Lake with the basketball. That's Kip Carlson with it for the Bears.
Expect the Bears to play man-to-man pressure defense throughout.
Driving to the lane and drawing the bucket of the foul, Chet Keats.
Man-to-man, who says Keats goes by? The defense for Moscow, and the help comes over late. You see number 53, Drew Owen, come over late, contest, but strong to the hoop by Keats, averaging double-double, or double figures, I should say, here at the state tournament. 23 points with 13 points coming in game 1.
Completes the 3-point play, and Bear Lake leads it 3-0. Miller will try a 3 and hits nothing but net. Adam Miller.
Just a junior, yet still the leader and really a floor general for this Moscow Bears team.
Carlson on the baseline, goes around, reverse, comes up short. Owen tapped the ball. They rule it going to Moscow. I think Moscow got a break there. It looked like it went off of Owen, but the Moscow Bears with the basketball. Tied at 3.
Like Moscow, despite their size, they've got a couple post players out-rebounded by Valley View last night. shows you quickness, determination, positioning. You can win that rebounding war.
Keats with the rebound after the miss by Miller. Carlson lobbing it ahead to Hogue. Lost it out of bounds. Turnover will give it back to Moscow.
Bear Lake not afraid to push the basketball, establish some of that tempo in transition.
Bear Lake playing aggressive 2-3 zone. They'll stick with that zone or go man defensively.
They can give you both looks.
Miller penetrating in, rolls it around and out. Carlson with the board for Bear Lake.
Dribble penetration, though. Somebody has to stop that kind of penetration.
Wallenstein getting the basketball on the block, goes up strong and hits the layup. Averaging 15.5 points a game in this tournament. He gets his first two, and Bear Lake takes the lead.
Look for the left knee brace on Wallenstein. He didn't start game one of this state championship, started game two last night. Either way, he's done some scoring.
Dudley goes inside, counts a bucket, and the foul is going to be called on Kip Carlson of Bear Lake.
A little continuation. The foul looks like it's down on the floor. In fact, as he was slicing through the two defenders, but you still want to finish. That's a smart play by Dudley. You'd expect that, wouldn't you, from the coach's son?
The coach certainly hopes so. As Dudley missing the free throw there, leaving it tied at 5. Keith posting up with the ball taken away and stolen there by Jeff Lathan.
Good post defense. Offensive player didn't steal Lathan, got around using a long arm.
Lathan, good offensive rebounder, already 4 offensive boards in this tournament. Foul's going to be called on Owen on the low block. As he and Carlson were bustling for position, and Drew Owen picks up his second foul. He had foul difficulty last night in the win over Kellogg.
Sometimes the big fella, just because of his size, might be called for some of that, but you saw the left elbow really leaning in and creating the contact.
Contact in midcourt, goes uncalled. Carlson bring it to Keats. Keats thought about the three and ends up walking with it.
Takes himself out. Look for the pass up top. All of a sudden, nobody guarding Keats, and just a little bunny hop.
Into the lineup for Moscow, Jason Keats, 6'10 junior, had 10 points off the bench in that win last night.
And there's no question the size at 6'10", big factor for Moscow. You replace 6'7", you get 6'10".
Number 51 getting the ball in the key.
Like we saw last night, he needs to make sure he's catching the basketball. Had trouble with some passes inside. Was definitely a dangerous look offensively. This is an active 2-3 zone.
Miller looking to create baseline. Comes up short, but there's the size at Keep inside. Wild on the rebound, and Bear Lake comes away with it.
Team's still not yet in their rhythm. You can tell that.
Three-pointer is off by Hogue. Inside, Keats, shot blocked. Carlson inside, hits the bucket, but the foul ruled before the shot.
Boy, they give continuation on the other side of the court. Take a look at the sweet move. The left hand as well off the glass. Thought that might be the three-point play opportunity for Carlson.
Foul is called on Keith, his first. Carlson inside, hits the bucket.
That's a great look, but a great catch by Carlson. Gathered it in, and then the quick hop.
Kip Carlson, his first 2 points. And if you were wondering, for Kip Carlson, Brady Carlson cousins.
The cousins Carlson getting it done. 2 starters.
Keep inside, hits the bucket. The big fella rumbles to the basket.
A lot of good things there. The entry pass, the catch, also the defense set to take a charge.
All tied up at 7 in the first period. Just about the halfway mark. Hogue lost the ball inside. Dudley away with it for Moscow.
Left his feet, indecision. Something they'll tell you fundamentally. Stay down until you're sure.
Miller looking to create, comes up short again. He's gone cold after hitting that first three-pointer.
Maybe forcing a little bit. I'd still attribute some of this to the adrenaline and nerves. State championship, you don't get that every day.
Foul called out top on Miller as he was guarding Carlson. His first foul, 4th team foul already on Moscow. Meanwhile, Bear Lake with just 1.
Carlson sees an opening. Miller not using the feet, not getting in position. An easy call.
And pressure from Moscow.
Mike,
They'll go with that the whole game.
Right, and with the presence of Keith down low. Really going to be perimeter oriented.
Okay, and there's Brady Carlson inside. Shot blocked by Keith.
On the play, big fella. Little intensity tonight. You mentioned Keith's game last night, the 10 points to 8 rebounds. He was 5 for 7 from the field. But twice now we've seen him contest shots, getting the clean block.
Substitutes into the game, Scott Peterson, a 6-foot senior, in for Moscow. Meanwhile, Colin Passy, a 6'2 junior, into the game for Bear Lake. He gets the inbounds to Brady Carlson. Shot a short foul for the loose ball, and it's going to go on Kip Carlson, his first.
Like, but what we saw there was Keith extending the hand, the 6'10 game. That's a tough shot for an offensive player. Here you'll see the battle, the after effect. Two players going after it hard, but no doubt about it, Carlson.
Check that out, a second foul on Kip Carlson. He'll remain in the game with those two personals. Dudley will try an 18-footer. One shot and out for Moscow.
Really closes down defensively with Keith's presence.
Keith. And the three, and there's Dudley for the board.
Good block out.
Scott Strobel also into the game for
Strobel,
Moscow.
the hero from last night.
He has the basketball now.
A game against Valley View, a battle for a rebound, 2 seconds left. Strobel went to the free throw line and won it for the Moscow Bears to go to the state championship.
Foul on Chet Keith. His first third-team foul on Bear Lake, and Jason Keith, the 6'10 junior, will go to the line for 2.
Where's the weak side help? It comes over late, and it comes in the form of a reach and a slap.
Keith now with 3 points off the bench.
First free throw of the state tournament. He went 0 for 3 last night.
Bear Lake away with the board after the miss. They now have an opportunity to take the lead. Keith using the bucket. Shot blocked by Keith. Good idea, but just couldn't get away with it. Gates will try a 3 instead. Rebound comes to Scott Peterson.
Neither team effective from beyond the arc right now.
Dudley ball stolen away by Kip Carlson. Carlson pulls up from 8. Then hit off left, and Keith's going to draw the foul as he went over the back of Colin Passy. And just like last night, Moscow finds both of their big people with 2 personals in the first quarter of play.
Good decision by Carlson to slow things up and go up strong with the balance, but Keith, aggressive. No question about that. You can see the cheering as well by Passy going on there. You take a bumper bruise in the state championship and feel good about it. Got to come to the basketball.
Ball thrown away by Passy as he got in trouble out on the wing.
Mike, Keith has really changed things. His presence, 3 blocks since he's come into the game in the span of about 3+ minutes. Really clogging up the middle, and the outside shot right now not falling for Bear Lake.
Got a good look right there. Just a second ago, Ken Park, 8th-year coach at Bear Lake. Shot is going to be way short by Pearson, but there's Keith inside. He now has 5 points for Moscow, and the lead at 3 at 10-7.
Mike, you talked to Don Dudley before the game. He said, hey, Keith can play better than he did last night. And we thought he looked good last night. Stepping it up tonight.
Bear Lake settling for a lot of 3s and missing a lot of them. Moscow a chance now to extend the lead. You see time remaining in the first quarter. Brad Steinball into the lineup for Moscow, 5'10 seniors, number 33. Keith inside and hits it off glass as Jason Keith starting to take this game over. He now has 7 and the lead at 12-7 for Moscow.
A 7-0 run right now for Moscow, trying to close out this first quarter on a high note. And really, it's been Jason Keith's presence on both ends of the floor. Patience as well for Moscow on the other end, waiting for that entry pass.
Keith got open on the baseline. as he beat Latham down low, and Chet Keach now with 5 points for the Bears.
Works the baseline well, doesn't he? Flashes, strong to the hoop.
Dribble with the basketball. And they leave Latham wide open, but he can't take advantage of it. Strobel with good hustle. Battle for the loose ball goes to Peterson. Dishes inside, and the layup to Steinbaugh.
Great hustle for both clubs. Also smart play, saving that at half court.
Final 20 seconds of the first quarter. 14-9 in favor of Moscow. Heap with the steal. Peterson in the open floor.
Is he showing some foot quickness as well?
Time running down. Moscow needs to get a shot off. They get it into Keep. Can't hit the shot. Keep with the board, and that will do it for the first quarter of play of the A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout. Our score after one period. It's Moscow up on Bear Lake 14-9.
Young lady, do you see the man in this courtroom?
He did it. My daddy. How cool.
Idaho's dairy farmers are proud to contribute financial support to the Idaho High School Activities Association. These funds sponsor major high school championships in football, basketball, wrestling, and track. Other activities include music, speech, drama, debate, and drug awareness. It's an investment in the future of Idaho's young people and one of the most gratifying programs funded by Idaho's dairy farmers. The Idaho High School Activities Association and United Dairymen of Idaho.
Welcome back, everyone. Good hustle, indicative right there on the part of Moscow in the first quarter as they lead it by 5.
And now the ability to fake right, go to your left. Here comes transition help. When you run the floor, when you do things offensively and show the good hustle, things can and do pay off. Brad Steinbaugh with the finish there. Jason Keith getting some rest. He's on the left in your picture. As well, Drew Owen. In the middle, Fiorio filling, flanked by the two big guys.
Moscow now going with the small lineup as both Owen and Keep with 2 personals will stay on the bench.
This is a chance for Bear Lake to work on the boards, get back in this.
Shot up from Peterson from three-point land, and he buries it. Scott Peterson, his first points of the game, and Moscow with their biggest lead at 8.
Mike, it's a 12-2 run since that early 7-5 lead for Bear Lake.
Wallenstein inside, can't hit the shot. Oh, going up for the rebound, and he'll be fouled inside. Foul going to be called on Jeff Latham, 6'2 senior, picking up his first.
Without the big guys inside, you might be able to work the glass, especially on the offensive end for some second chance points.
Wallenstein driving inside, walked with it. Just wasn't decisive going inside, whether to shoot it or to dish.
It's a confused team offensively right now. But how you pick that up and change that is work on the defensive end. See if you can get a couple breaks, pick up a steal, a loose ball.
Jesse Anderson into the lineup for Bear Lake as the shot up and good from Zeke Johnson. Zeke Johnson, 6'2 senior, one of the captains on this team, his first 2 points.
The ball movement. The ball movement offensively for Moscow. They're finding the open man. They're working well without the ball. And also, they've gotten the bounce a couple times. You know, a three-pointer by Bear Lake can change a lot of things. The three's so big, so emotional, especially at this level.
Passy goes inside, and he forced it, charging into Latham down low. And Colin Passy, his first foul, 4th team foul on Bear Lake. And right now, they're just a very frustrated basketball team.
When you get frustrated, you start to go away from your game. Some of the tendencies and strong points that really have gotten you this far in the season. Give credit to the defense, though. You get beat off the dribble. Here comes the help defense. Nice job by Latham hanging in there.
Bear Lake really likes to spread the floor with Moscow with the lead. Really, it's up to Moscow to dictate the pace and pressure of the game now.
And they've been patient.
Dudley launches a three. It's way off, and it will go to Bear Lake.
Announcer's curse. They've been patient. Coach's son banging out a three from 23. But they're getting good rest right now. And as long as you maintain a little cushion, up 10 right now. Look at the coaching staff. Don Dudley, second year at Moscow. Getting a chance to coach your son, that's got to be something special for Don Dudley. He's got a chance next year as well with his son just a junior.
Carlson inside. Can't hit the shot as Bear Lake finally getting the ball inside. Ball is lost out of bounds by Zeke Johnson. As checking back into the lineup for Moscow will be Drew Owen.
What I was getting at, Owen and Key both on the bench as the subs kind of hanging on to that lead, and now you got to bring the size back into the paint.
Adam Miller also checking back in as Brady Carlson gets the inbounds and bangs it home. And Brady Carlson, leading scorer on the team in this tournament, 16 a game, gets his first two. Dudley inside with the leap and leaner.
So many things can happen when you break down the defense. You have the numbers offensively, a point guard who can do that.
Heat hitting nothing but net on the three. He now has 8, and it's a 21-14 game in favor of Moscow.
It's also the first three-point field goal for Bear Lake.
Shot up and no good, and the foul's going to be called on Zeke Johnson. Picks up his first personal.
Screening out, doing the things on the glass, and Johnson coming over with the arm.
More importantly, it's a 7th-team foul on Moscow, so Bear Lake will be shooting free throws for the final 5:35 of this first half. Bear Lake, meanwhile, with just 4 team fouls, so it's an opportunity for the Bears to get back into this one.
Free throw may be the storyline last night for Bear Lake. They shot 30 free throws. Excuse me, made 30, took 44 free throws. And in fact, if you're a Kellogg fan, when you get outscored at the free throw line by 17 points in a game, you lose by 7. Some question marks in that area.
As Carlson hits both free throws, he now has 4. Lead at 21-16. Moscow has led most of this first half. Dudley comes inside, and he's going to be fouled. Going to be called there on Trevor Jacobson, 5'9" senior, who's checked in. Didn't take him long to get into the book.
No, but Jacobson can't believe it. It looked for a moment that Dudley had just lost the basketball. Here's a good look. Basketball already coming out of the hands of Dudley, but you get a break on the whistle.
Ground for the loose ball. Strobel battling for it with Keach and Brady Carlson. Possession arrow going to Bear Lake. So the Bears from Bear Lake with the basketball, trailing at 21-16. Good look right there at Brady Carlson, 6'4" senior.
One of the captains for Bear Lake. Mike, it's a lot of perimeter right now.
Pressure from Peterson, knocking it out of bounds. It'll remain Bear Lake basketball.
When you play good team defense, you deny the wings, really put pressure on the ball, and you get the help side defense. Great things can happen for you.
Valentine looking for a screen, goes baseline, hits the bucket and draws the foul inside on Owen. More importantly, that's the 3rd foul on Owen.
Taking it strong to the hoop. Valentine goes up, Owen comes over. Help got there a little bit late, and the quickness, the difference right there.
Valentine, he now has 4 points, been averaging 15.5 in this tournament.
Reminiscent of the first play of the game for Bear Lake, when Keats took it in strong, and Owen picked up his first foul.
Completes the 3-point play, and we got a whole new ball game as Moscow's lead now cut to 21-19. Peterson will launch a three. Can't hit it, but there's Strobel working inside. Foul's going to be called on Bear Lake. Looks like it's going to go on Evan Hodge.
The ball movement, though. In and out on the three. A little bit of a knuckleball. And Hodge was coming over the back of Drew Owen, 53.
Hodge, his first personal. 5-second call as Bear Lake clamps down defensively, and the turnover gets it right back to the Bears.
Possession, so important, especially in a state championship game. You got to be smarter right there. Either look for the timeout, throw a pass that you know might get tipped. It's a little bit frustrating for a coach to see that on an inbound.
Jason Keefe back into the lineup for Moscow. He has 2 personals as Owen goes to the bench with 3.
You really want to look to whoever Keefe is guarding. See if you can have him pick up that precious third foul.
And that right now would be Hodge as the ball is stolen away by Peterson. Peterson drives it the other way, misses the layup, and Jacobson comes away with it for Bear Lake.
Never give up. The defense didn't do that.
Foul on Scott Peterson, his first, as the Bear Lake fan contingent making their way here, making some noise now.
But the foul story right now will help. Peterson, after missing the layup, he got the steal, did everything right, missed the layup, but then came back with a frustration foul. A little bit of laziness, slapping around.
And Trevor Jacobson, 5'9" senior guard, been perfect from the foul line thus far in this tournament. 1-and-1 situation is the 9th team foul on Moscow. Now the next one result in 2 shots. Can't hit the free throw, however. And it's Jeff Lathan with the rebound for Moscow. Moscow still leading at 21-19 with 4 minutes remaining in our first half of play.
You got to find a way to get the ball into the hands of Jason Keefe down low, and if he's double or triple team, that's when you kick it out and find a wide open wing player.
Keefe having trouble handling the basketball, tied up by Carlson. Possession arrow keeps it in the hands of Moscow.
6'10", just a junior. Great size, but you saw right there, catching the basketball, so important for post players. Maybe something that Keefe can work on during the off season. The coaches said, you don't get better between September and April. You get better between April and September, the off season.
Miller steps inside the line and drills the jumper. Adam Miller now with 5. And the lead back to 4 at 23-19.
Mike, but that snaps an 8-0 run, a little drought there for Moscow offensively.
Ball knocked out of bounds by Miller. It will go to Bear Lake as Passy will check back in for Bear Lake, as well as Kip Carlson, as Walentine and Jacobson will go to the bench.
Already Bear Lake scored 1.
For home with Dancing Lights, put to an all-out David Duncan drive. Out of the pocket, here comes your fan.
Nice job shutting him off. Hodge inside, can't hit the shot. Scramble for the loose ball, and it goes out of bounds off of Bear Lake as Lathan was fighting with Hodge down there for it.
Offensively, though, they take it right at Keefe, try to get the big fella's 3rd foul. You don't want to go away from your game plan, though. You don't want to lose focus, but you do want to be aggressive.
Miller inside, gets it to Keefe, can't handle it, though, and it's taken away by Brady Carlson. Passy, who's had a real solid tournament thus far for Bear Lake. He went for 11.6 rebounds in that first round win over the #1 team in the state, Bishop Kelly.
Been solid when you get 9.5 points off the bench, throw in 5.5 boards, a couple assists a game. That's great contribution.
Hodge will try the 15-footer. Rolls around, no good. That's Strobel coming down with the board for Moscow.
Hodge is getting the look. They're giving him the shot, just unable to knock it down right now.
Miller tries a 3. Hodge with the rebound for Bear Lake. Here come the Bears. Passy driving down. Throws up a wild one, can't hit it, but battling inside, gets the ball and the bucket. Colin Passy, 6'2" junior, his first 2 points, and the lead down to 2 once again.
Fitting that Passy, number 21, gets that 21st point for Bear Lake in the numbers game.
Ball stolen away by Hodge as Lathan wasn't expecting a pass from Strobel.
What a difference a quarter makes. Out of the rhythm a little bit right now offensively. Moscow, that is. And I don't think Bear Lake has found their rhythm yet. Still trying to solve a little bit of this man-to-man pressure. And haven't been knocking down their shots, but that can change.
Backdoor to Keach. Keach up strong, hits the bucket as Lathan tried to draw the charge, and Chet Keach, he now has 10 points, and we are tied at 23.
This game was tied 7-all, Mike. Also 3-3 to start this contest, but it's been mostly Moscow. Bear Lake doing a great job fighting back.
Peterson will try a 3. Scramble for the loose ball, and it goes out of bounds, and we're going to have a foul call on Strobel. Scott Strobel picking up the personal foul. More importantly, Bear Lake will go to the line with a chance to take the lead. .113 remaining in our first half of the A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout. And Chet Keach, 6'2" senior forward for Bear Lake, will go to the line with an opportunity to give the Bears the lead as Zeke Johnson checks back into the game for Moscow, coming in for Scott Strobel. Also Ryan Dudley now back into the lineup for the Bears, checking in for Scott Peterson.
Keach in the first 2 games, 8 for 9 from the free throw line. Nice effort, this kind of pressure.
Keach thus far the leading scorer for both teams. Can't hit the second. Scramble for the loose ball and saved nicely by Lathan. Bear Lake on top, 24-23. First lead of the game for Bear Lake.
Bear Lake actually led early. But remember, a 9-2 run with the foul there inside, but a 9-2 run in the first quarter gave Moscow the lead, and then it's been the comeback effort. Trying to hang on and now hanging out with the lead.
17 foul on Bear Lake as the personal call on Evan Hodge. That's his second personal. Now Moscow will go to the line for the 1-and-1. Zeke Johnson, 6'2" senior. Can't hit it. Keach with a rebound, and here comes Bear Lake as we are under 45 seconds remaining in the first half.
Moscow just 1 for 4 from the free throw line.
Lob pass for Carlson. Able to get it away for Johnson. Shot blocked by Keith, but that's going to be his third.
Maybe the biggest play of the first half is that foul on Keep, and it looked like a lot of ball up high. With only 32.8 seconds to play in the first half, you have some frustration on the sideline for Don Dudley.
He knows that's a big play right there, as now both of his big guys, Owen and Keep, with 3 personals. Keep will now go to the bench, and Strobel will check back in. But now that forces Moscow to go to a much smaller lineup, and it may free things up if you're Bear Lake for Brady Carlson.
That will be the second half strategy. For Don Dudley, he's got to decide what to do at halftime with his post players. 6 fouls between the two of them.
Carlson rolls in both free throws. He now has 6 points. And Bear Lake leads at 26-23 as we're less than 30 seconds to go in the first half.
Holding for 1 shot. What you may expect here is if Miller dribbling the basketball, if he can break down the defense with the dribble, no help comes, take it to the hoop. If the help comes on over, look to kick it out for a 3 for one of the wing players.
Okay, Moscow sets their offense in motion. And that will be Miller. Tries the 12-footer, it's off. Passy with an opportunity will launch one from half court and hits it! Colin Passy, 40 feet, hits a three-pointer, and Bear Lake will go to the locker room on a high as they lead it 29-23. Right now, Jeff Cave standing by with the head coach from Bear Lake, Ken Parks.
Coach Parks, that's a lot of momentum. How many points do you think it'll be worth beyond the three?
Well, definitely that's a great shot. Give the crowd behind us. The kids go in big. I think we just needed a little emotional boost, and that may have given it to us, so we'll see what happens in the third quarter.
Started out a little sluggish, but what do you think turned it around in the second quarter?
Well, I think we got settled down. The whole tournament we've started slow, and they've just settled into it. Now I think we'll come out in the third quarter, hopefully, and execute and do some good things.
These Monster Bears have a tag team in the second half. Do you like the way you're playing, keeping the other big man?
Yeah, they're getting some checks inside, but we're still going to attack them.
All right, good luck, Coach, second half. Okay, we are at halftime for the A2 Real Dairy Shootout with the score, Bear Lake up 29-23 over the Bears of Moscow. We'll return live from Holt Arena. We'll talk to you, the United Dairymen of Idaho's Executive Director, and we'll give you some halftime stats and highlights as the show continues live right here from the Holt Arena for the Real Dairy Shootout.
All right, Tommy. You're looking at 10-15. Why don't you try and help yourself out? You looking at my cupcakes? Go ahead, take a bite. Atta boy. All right, now, we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way.
Got milk.
Mom's on the phone. She'll be home late. Then whip up something now. Don't wait. Cheese to the rescue. Make a chicken cheddar grill. Chicken cheddar salsa too. Cheese again. Now toast it. Oh, cheese to the rescue. Rescue me. Hey, they love it. A family crave. Look at them eat. Even Dad's amazed. Cheese to the rescue. To the rescue. Cheese.
Welcome back to halftime of the A2 Real Dairy Shootout. The score is 29-23, Bear Lake over Moscow. Right now we have the Executive Director of the United Dairymen of Idaho, Don Pappenberg, is with us. We've done these interviews many times over the year, Pap, and I've got to say, this is a tremendous turnout, and I don't know where the A1 Real Dairy Shootout fans are going to sit. This place is packed.
Yeah, I think there's about 9,000 people here already, and I don't think it seats much more than 9,000. So I think the tournament manager is hoping some people will leave in order to get the Highland and Rigby people in.
I've covered a lot of sporting events, professional to collegiate, and now a lot of high school, and you get a lot of feedback as well. When you touch the lives of a lot of these kids, their only opportunities to travel and compete statewide, they come across pretty vocal thanking the dairymen.
Yeah, they really do, and it's really one of our pleasures that we get out of the sponsorship. And when you have some kid that writes you a letter, or a parent that writes a letter, says, "Hey, thanks a lot." Mrs. Potter in Boise, when her son played for Bishop Kelly, wrote a very nice letter, and that's what the thing is all about, just to hear nice things.
Now, one of the other things a lot of these tournaments are about nowadays is revenue and money. And it would be fair to ask the dairymen, what kind of profits or money would the dairymen be expecting to take out of a tournament like this, or with this kind of opportunity?
Well, in fact, Jeff, we don't make any money. We give money. Our total investment into the program, all of the various tournaments, run them over $100,000. And we give the money to the High School Activities Association in order for them to pay the expenses of the tournament. It is not cheap to run these kind of tournaments. There's a lot of work involved, as you well know, and we actually pay the cost of the tournament.
What about the reaction from the girls' Real Dairy Shootout? With a statewide television broadcast, that was really history in the making, and now you've had a chance to maybe talk to the dairy farmers from Moscow to Shoshone and in between. What was the reaction?
Well, the dairymen are always very happy. We're more concerned about the consumer, and that's our target, and that's the reason why we do it. But we had one or two quote, complaints because I guess a couple local cable stations didn't pick up the broadcast and when their team was actually involved. But we'll get all that squared away, and next year will be better.
So the future of the live statewide cable cast for the A2 and A1 finals in both the girls and boys, is that set for a couple of years to come? Will you continue in Nampa?
Yeah, I think we will. You know, we've talked to our producer, Larry Pulaski, about the possibility of doing all of the divisions, but you know, that to get the time released, you know, is the real issue. But it would really please us if we could do the A3, A4 as well in all of the categories.
Well, it wouldn't only please you. I'm sure it would please a lot of young athletes.
Oh, sure. You know, there's nothing better than to have a tape of your final game of the year, and especially if you scored and did well. You would never know that, though.
No, you wouldn't. Thank you very much, Don Pappenberg. Appreciate everything you do. Don Pappenberg of the United Dairymen of Idaho, our guest here at halftime. We'll continue with the highlights and statistics from the first half of action live from Holt Arena.
Oh, let's make that random call with today's $10,000 question. It's a tough one. Who shot Alexander Hamilton in that famous duel? All right, let's go to the phones and see who's out there. Hello, for $10,000, who shot... Excuse me? I'm afraid your time is almost up. I'm sorry, maybe next time.
Got milk.
Welcome back, everyone, to Holt Arena. Mike Boyle along with Sean McCall. Halftime of the A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout. Bear Lake leading Moscow 29-23. Really a contest of two different quarters, and Moscow dominated things in the first quarter, but Bear Lake came roaring back in that second quarter, and of course topping it off with that 40-footer from Colin Passy.
Like this was a 31-21 game in the favor, 21-11 game in favor of Moscow. You're talking about an 18-2 run to close out the second quarter, and it all culminates with the jumper, if you will, from 40 feet. Nice to see by Passy, and I'm fairly impressed with the way Bear Lake fought back. They had 11 turnovers in the first half, a little bit uncharacteristic the way they've played in this state tournament, but they still lead the game. They have momentum. Owen and Keith, the big players, post players at 6'7" and 6'10" respectively, both have 3 fouls, so a lot of things going right now for Bear Lake.
Leading the way for Bear Lake in the first half of play, Chet Keach with 11 points. And he really got it done down low at a time when Bear Lake really got away from that for a while.
Right, Keach has been aggressive. He's shown that he can put it on the floor and take it to the hoop. He has knocked down a three-pointer. He's 2 for 3 from the free throw line, and really just showing quickness and explosiveness. And when you take a look at some of the stats, we've already mentioned the score, the 3-point field goals, in fact, 2 for 9 for Moscow, and yet the stats saying 0 for 4, it is in fact 2 for 5. For Bear Lake, the free throw percentage, they've been doing it from the free throw line. Field goal percentage, both teams struggling a little bit, but by the same token, with this kind of pressure, this kind of, I guess, magnitude in the final outcome, you'd expect those percentages to about be in that range.
No question about it, as Bear Lake really got started offensively, and it was led by Chet Keach, as we mentioned, as he had 11 points in that first half of play. Brady Carlson with 6 points and Russ Wallentine with 5. Wallentine had a real big three-pointer down on the baseline at a situation where Bear Lake was really starting to fall out of it.
Wallentine, you expect him to be a little more aggressive and a little more of a leader. He really hasn't been that offensive-minded, just 2 for 3, and trying to get some of his teammates a little bit more involved. One stat that we didn't talk about, the rebounding advantage. We know that Moscow has the size, but they're not getting it done on the glass. Rebounds right now, 21 rebounds for Bear Lake, just 14 for Moscow. 8 of those 21 for Bear Lake coming on the offensive end. They're starting to hit the glass and using that explosiveness and quickness.
Second chance opportunities will get you back in it every time. Coming into tonight, Bear Lake was a +3 in the rebounding category, so they've lived up to that in the first half of play, and it's going to be interesting for us to keep our eye on the foul situation for Moscow. As you mentioned, both Owen and Keep with 3 personal fouls.
Something that I'm sure more than we'll be keeping an eye on. if you're Don Dudley, what do? You're going to need to start one of the big guys. We know that Owen starts. It's Keith that comes off the bench, but I guess another interesting point for me, in their game, the semifinals, Bear Lake, they gave up 16 second chance points to Kellogg. And Moscow really hasn't been as aggressive because they've been in foul trouble.
Have some highlights for you from the first half of play of the Real Dairy Shootout A2 title game. Take a look at it here as Bear Lake with the basketball and freezing in slow motion. So I guess going a little slower than we thought there, but Bear Lake is leading at 29-23 at halftime. Moscow, what are they going to have to do to get back in this basketball game?
Well, they're going to have to find somebody else to score besides Keith. He was so active in the first quarter. Miller may need to step it up just a little bit. And Ryan Dudley, the coach's son, who came in averaging 11 points in the state tournament. But Dudley just 2 points and 0 for 2 from three-point land, and they're going to need to rebound much better, Mike. They have to win the war on the glass.
Keep leading the way with 7 points, but he has to stay on the floor if Moscow has a chance. 29-23 in favor of Bear Lake. We'll be back with the second half tip-off after this.
Hey, Boopy.
I don't think so, Baldy. School's out now. What to do? Make something quick.
Back live at Holt Arena on the campus of Idaho State University. Second half of the A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout. Bear Lake and Moscow ready to get it underway. It'll be Bear Lake basketball, and they have the lead. As you can see, it's 29-23. Both teams sending out the same starting five that began this state title contest. Hodge inbounding it to Kip Carlson. Hodge driving baseline, lost it out of bounds as it goes off Lathan. It'll remain Bear Lake basketball. One thing to keep in mind as we get late into this contest, no shot clock in high school basketball. So the team with the lead late is in a real advantage situation. Teach will try a three. Comes up short and Miller down with it for Moscow.
It's the only zone you're going to see from Moscow, at least for a while. Stoning the inbound, but they've been heavy man-to-man pressure.
Dudley with a jumper and hits it. Dudley now has 6.
He can provide a spark.
Valentine going baseline one more time. Shown the ability to drive baseline throughout this game.
And also, Mike, a little more passive for Owen underneath. He just stood vertical, didn't go contest a shot, and 3 fouls can take away some aggressiveness.
Lob pass from Dudley, hit the rim though. And Bear Lake away with it, leading at 31-25. Hodge, 12-footer shot partially blocked by Owen, but the rebound going to Keith. He now has 15.
He's also playing smart. Went after the ball and then used the rim as a little bit of a shield and a defender. And went underneath the hoop, off the glass, left-handed.
Miller drives a shot blocked by Carlson, but will have a foul inside on Bear Lake. They do call it on Brady Carlson. That will be his first personal. Adam Miller, the 5'10 junior point guard, will go to the line.
Miller's gone 4 for 4 in the tournament from the free throw line. That's his first free throw of the night and can't get the roll.
Announcer's curse strikes again.
But the guards are going to need to step it up. It will be Miller, it will be Dudley. Both juniors, and that's a lot to ask for an underclassman to really lead the team with Owen and the big fella Keith in foul trouble.
Bear Lake, a lot of experience, a lot of seniors on this team in the state tournament last year when they finished 4th, losing in the semifinals to eventual state champion Weiser. Hodge way off on the jumper.
Keach nearly coming away with the steal off of Lathan, but it'll remain Moscow ball as they trail at 33-26 with 6 minutes remaining in the third.
Look for the flash here, find the opening in the zone. Nice job by Miller to come to the basketball, avoiding the steal.
Miller will try a three, comes up short, comes up with it, but the foul's going to go on Keach of Bear Lake. That will be his second personal.
And if you're thinking foul trouble, Hodge had 2 in the first half, so did Kip Carlson for Bear Lake, and now, as you mentioned, a second personal foul. Check that, the first, excuse me, is what the official scorekeeper is suggesting here.
I've got him down for 2 here. Have to check that discrepancy. Jump ball between Keach and Owen. Possession arrow remaining in favor of Moscow.
That might be one worth checking. If he can pick up another quick one, Moscow might be able to get Keach out of the game.
Lathan inside, can't hit it, but Johnson keeps it alive for Moscow.
Look for a flasher. Look for somebody to flash around the high post area. The overload in the first half against this zone defense worked. The entry pass from the wing and or baseline area down low just like that.
Owen can't hit the layup, so misses the follow, but draws the foul inside. And the big fella's got to bury those when he gets the opportunity. Foul's going to be called on Wallenstein. His first.
That's just a chippy. That's a gimme where you got to concentrate and make sure. And you don't even get 2 out of it. Now you have to knock down free throws to get 2 out of it. But I like the look, the triangle type offense where you're at the top, you go to the wing, and let Owen use his body to steal off and get that entry pass.
Shot is no good from Owen as Colin Passey's checked into the lab, number 21 for Bear Lake. Good look right there. Drew Owen, a junior, he'll be back next year. Gets his name into the scoring column, and the lead now at 33-27 in favor of Bear Lake. Passey, a 3-point attempt. Can't hit. There's Keach working inside. Can't hit it. Owen with a rebound. Having trouble with it. Bear Lake fans screaming for a double dribble.
Sure looked like one. Tried to be cute there. Nearly came back to haunt him with a turnover. I thought got away with one.
Moscow with the ball, trailing at 33-27. Just under 5 minutes to play in this third period. Baseline turnaround short, and Passey with the board for Bear Lake. Ball stolen away by Zeke Johnson. Johnson going the other way will be fouled in the open floor by Passey. And Colin Passey picked up his second personal.
Passey knows it as well. It was one of those sitting back waiting for the call, realizing that not a smart play. Almost like flag football, you don't get a C there, but the left hand also started to come around from Passey to reach and grab, and they called an intentional foul. The official that made the call got some help from the back official, and they decided intentional foul.
Miller will go to the line for 2, misses the first one, but more importantly, Moscow will get possession of the basketball after the intentional call. I don't know, pretty marginal there if you ask me, as Miller is able to hit 1 of 2. He now has 7 points, lead at 33-28, and Moscow gets the basketball.
On a breakaway, I can understand it because you're preventing 2 points, and it wasn't as if you went for the ball. Use the 2 hands. Had he gone one hand and maybe have been, I guess, just not as deliberate.
Miller will try a 3 and hits it. So in essence, a 4-point play for Moscow, and they're right back in it, trailing at 33-31.
Pressure on the ball has been important in this third quarter for Moscow. Miller's been doing a lot of it.
Shot rolled up and in by Passey. Colin Passy, he now has 7 points off the bench for the Bears, and it's back to a 4-point lead.
He's done some good things offensively, hasn't he?
Miller will try another three. Comes up short, but there's Lathan inside. Turnaround. And Jeff Lathan, his first 2 points. And another offensive rebound. He leads the team in that category. Foul's going to be called on Miller of Moscow, his second personal.
You can see the junior stepping it up, Adam Miller, there on your screen. He's a leader, but just a junior. Does more of it through example.
Led the team in scoring in their semifinal win over Valley View last night. Had 13 in that victory over the Falcons. Shot is blocked by Keep, and it will be a jump ball. Possession arrow remaining with Bear Lake. And every time you hear a whistle down low, if you're a Moscow fan, you have to be cringing a little bit.
Mike, the interesting point there for me, Keep waiting for the call, realized it was a jump ball and had a little applause and a smile, saying, good, not a fourth foul.
Inbounds going to Keach, and the foul's going to go on Strobel. Scott Strobel picking up his second personal.
May not seem like much, but that's the second time on an inbound pass underneath the basket. Once in the first half, Bear Lake scored, and now here in this third quarter. You're just not finding your man, and you got to be really active and really communicate defensively on where you're going to switch.
Keach missing the front end of 2 shots. He officially has 13 points. I said 15 earlier. He has 13. Leading scorer for Bear Lake, and he misses 2 free throws there. Highly unusual for him. 3-point attempt from Peterson, no good as he comes into the game firing. (35-33) in favor of Bear Lake. Just under 3 minutes remaining in the third period of the A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout. Lob pass for Brady Carlson, and he'll draw the foul on Strobel as Scott Strobel picking up a couple of fouls in a hurry. He now has 3, the third Moscow Bear to come away with that figure.
It's a tough entry pass. You have to throw it over the head of and the outstretched arms of Keefe, and then Strobel just got there late and a little too much body.
No, man.
Strobel will check out, and Ryan Dudley will check in for Moscow. Moscow Bears looking to sweep the A2 basketball crowns this year as the Moscow girls winning it in last month's Real Dairy Shootout in Twin Falls.
Sally Green, a little dynasty, does she not? She's won 4 of 5 state championships for the ladies, if you will.
Turnover there on Bear Lake. Bear Lake thought it was deflected out of bounds, but instead, now which Bear is that? That's what I want to know. Moscow getting the basketball, trailing it by 2.
I know it's not Boo Boo.
Little scroungy for Boo Boo.
11 first half turnovers by Bear Lake, and they're a little bit sloppy here in this third quarter.
Lob pass for Keep. Can't hit the turnaround, but there's Lathan with another offensive board, and the putback off glass, and he ties it up.
4 straight points for Lathan.
Both of them off the offensive glass. Tied at 35. 2 minutes remaining in the third period, and Keep. That may be his 4th, or they may have called it on Peterson. No, they do call it on Keep, and that's just a cheapie there as he picks up his 4th personal.
Mike, it's legit. It may be a nickel and dimer, but it was a bad foul. Coming over the top at 6'10", 17 feet from the hoop, you got to be smarter than that.
Ball knocked away by Lathan. It remains Bear Lake ball. As Keep will check out, and Drew Owen will check back in for Moscow. You can see Coach Don Dudley talking to the big fella saying, hey, you got to be a little smarter than that, son. Carlson, 16-footer, and hits it. Got a whistle underneath the basket, and the foul's going to go against Moscow as Brady Carlson hitting his second field goal, and the foul called underneath on Adam Miller, his 3rd.
Brady Carlson just used his quickness. Didn't force the shot, Little pump fake. Owen wasn't ready, wasn't set defensively.
Wallenstein open from three. Can't hit. There's Passy with the offensive board.
Smart move to bring it out.
Teach underneath.
The key there is Passy. He gets the offensive rebound, dribbles to the wing, waits for an opening, the smart bounce pass, and Keats the finish.
He now has 15, and Bear Lake in the lead by 4, 39-35.
That may be the turnaround you remember. A tie game, a bucket and a foul, really a 4-point play on that possession.
Miller tries a three. Can't hit it. Passy and Miller fighting for it, and they're going to call the foul on Miller.
Miller can't believe it. Great hustle.
I'd be curious to see that one again myself. Looked like he made a pretty clean swipe of the ball, then knocked it out of bounds. I thought that's what the whistle was for, but they call the foul on Miller. More importantly for Moscow, Miller will go to the bench with his 4th personal foul with 1:08 to go in the 3rd.
I thought he got him maybe there, but the whistle was blown after Miller was diving out of bounds. And that's why it just seemed a little bit late. If you want to call it on the initial slap.
Carlson again. And Brady Carlson heating it up from the outside. He now has 10 points. 41-35, Bear Lake. Bear Lake looking for their first state championship ever in basketball. Dudley can't hit the runner. Battle for the loose ball. Lathan ties up Keach. And the possession arrow goes to Moscow as Lathan continuing to do the job on the glass. I mentioned the fact Moscow hasn't won a state title since 1980, but when they started playing organized basketball in the state of Idaho, it was Moscow High School won the first 4 high school state championships back in the 19-teens. Going back a ways, I know, a little before your time, Sean.
You look good. That's the amazing part for me.
Peterson can't hit it, and it's Passy with a rebound. Kip Carlson on the break for Bear Lake. See time remaining in the 3rd.
One shot.
Wallenstein for 3. Hits it. Big momentum builder for Bear Lake. A Strobel will try one from way out. Can't hit it. And once again, Bear Lake comes up with a big shot before the end of the period. And after 3 quarters of play in the A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout, it's Bear Lake on top of Moscow, 44-35.
Idaho's dairy farmers are proud to contribute financial support to the Idaho High School Activities Association. These funds sponsor major high school championships in football, basketball, wrestling, and track. Other activities include music, speech, drama, debate, and drug awareness. It's an investment in the future of Idaho's young people and one of the most gratifying programs funded by Idaho's dairy farmers. The Idaho High School Activities Association and United Dairymen of Idaho, partners in youth development.
What's the matter? Couldn't you sleep?
Did you think I wouldn't find out?
Is this about the ring I gave you? Listen, a cubic zirconia looks just like a real diamond. Is this about my time in prison?
You drank the last of the milk.
Got milk.
Russ Wallenstein with a big 3-pointer for Bear Lake as he stakes the Bears to a 9-point lead going into the 4th quarter.
Mikey took the shot with 11 on the clock. A coach may have said, hey, let's hold on and make sure we get the last shot. But that was a big shot, ending the half, ending the 3rd quarter with 3-point shots.
Passy and Wallenstein with huge shots to end the half in the 3rd period, and Bear Lake on top 9. Keach driving the key inside, can't get the bucket. Offensive foul will be called on Keach. Take another look at it, Sean.
Trying to maybe get Keach 5th personal foul. Instead, the defense comes over, and I thought a good call. Keach aggressive offensively, but the defense did rotate.
Foul on Keach. Official scorers have him as that being number 2. I have him with 3, meanwhile, so Chet Keach living the good life. Strobel inside, gets the shot blocked by Wallenstein. Lost the basketball, but they're going to call the foul.
Mike, they're going to call a foul as well on Strobel. And it was a tremendous defensive play. Watch Wallenstein come from behind. He'll get the block. And now the presence to save the basketball and gets a little bump by Strobel. So a good call, great hustle. And that's why you have Wallenstein as our player profile to start the game. He's a leader. He's been a scorer. And this is where he was strong last night. Final 2.5 minutes, or in 2.5 minute span to end essentially the fourth quarter. He knocks down 7 straight free throws, part of his 12-point effort. And you like to have a guard to knock down free throws.
The foul on Strobel is his 4th. So right now Moscow with 3 players with 4 fouls apiece. Wallenstein completing the 3-point play. I should say he goes to the line for 2. Hits both free throws. 12 points now for Russ Wallenstein, the senior.
And he's 14 for 17 in the tournament from the line. Clutch free throw shooting. Packing it in, that 2-3 zone that's been active tonight.
Keep working baseline. Can't hit it. There's Passy with the board.
The double team's coming quicker. And if the shot isn't there, Keep needs to look to kick it out.
Bear Lake shooting the ball effectively in this second half. Shooting 60% thus far, 50% on the game. Meanwhile, Moscow just shooting 38% from the floor, just 27% in this second half. Bear Lake on top, 46-35. Hodge can't hit the shot. There's Peterson with a rebound for Moscow. Moscow needing to find some offense in a hurry, trailing it by 11. Miller goes baseline.
Much needed hoop. An 11-0 run by Bear Lake, and that was the biggest deficit we've had all game.
Foul at midcourt. Going to be called on Peterson. Scott Peterson, his second foul. As Dudley and Lathan check back in for Moscow. More importantly, for Moscow, they have 3 players on the floor right now with 4 personal fouls in Miller, Strobel, and Keep. Kip Carlson, 6-foot senior guard, will go to the line.
Carlson was solid from the free throw line, I believe, last night.
Misses that free throw, however.
Went 5 for 8 last night. Not terrific. It was Wallenstein on that 10 for 12 performance I was thinking about.
Ball nearly stolen away. And it ends up being a turnover as Keep couldn't get control of it. Ill-advised entry pass, though. Bear Lake coming up with the turnover. Carlson being pressured, able to break the timeline.
Picked up his dribble, though. Got to come meet the basketball.
Wallenstein does.
Good patience.
Hodge throws it away, though, as Strobel coming up with the steal. Struggling to get the basketball and ended up walking with it. Got a little bit out of control when he crossed the half-court line. And Coach Don Dudley knows that his team needs to settle down. He'll call timeout with 5:33 remaining in the game. Bear Lake leading it 47-37, and Bear Lake with the basketball.
Bear Lake, what a season they've had, both of these two teams coming in with solid records, 21-3 for Bear Lake. And how has it happened? Well, they won 7 straight to start the season. They then lost by 2 points. They won 9 straight and lost by 2 points, and now have come back to win 4 straight games. So you're talking 6 more points, and this team possibly could have a serious run going. They could have won 22 straight with a difference of 6 points. They've been playing some great basketball.
They've been a very solid team all year long. They were rated in the top 5 in the preseason. in A2. They've been right at the 2-3 mark for most of the year. They were number 2 coming into this tournament. Fortunately for them, or at least at the time, they thought they get the number 1 seed, an unbeaten team in the state, Bishop Kelly, in the first round, but handled the Knights easily, 59-45. And after that point, I think this team gained a lot of confidence knowing that they got the number 1 team out of the way. And they've been playing very good basketball here in Pocatello since then.
With the teams around the state not scheduling each other in a face-to-face matchup, you don't see each other till essentially the state tournament. Interesting, Bear Lake started the year, the preseason number 1 A2 ranking. Moscow wasn't even a team that was in the top 7. They got the 9th vote, I should say. So kind of an unexpected and an expected.
Bear Lake with the basketball and the lead.
This is where they're being a little more patient.
Keach is open for 3 and buries it. Chet Keach, his second three-pointer of the game, and he now has 18 points and the lead at 50-37.
That's the biggest lead of the game, 13 points.
Miller responds with a 3 from the left baseline, his 3rd tray of the contest.
Short-lived, wasn't it, that extended lead?
Huge shot for Moscow. Foul is going to be called on Dudley as he ran to the pick by Carlson. No one told Dudley the pick was there, and he picks up his first personal.
That's where you need some communication. When it gets loud, boy, that's tough. It's what football players go through in the dome stadiums. Well, here's a dome stadium of its own in Pocatello at Holt Arena. And the noise gets loud. You don't hear your teammate yelling out, maybe here comes a screen. That kind of momentum just knocking Carlson down.
Brady Carlson. He was part of the 4th place team at Bear Lake last season. Remember, they lost in the semifinals last year to the eventual state champion Weiser Wolverines by 3. A lot of experience back on this team. Carlson coming up short on the second attempt, and Moscow with the basketball, trailing at 51-40. 4:45 and counting to go in this 4th quarter. Three-pointer from Dudley, way downtown. He now has 9 points.
Look, the double team right here. Defense doesn't really rotate. Got to take chances right now.
Passey's open, wide open underneath, and Wallenstein got it to him. Colin Passey, he now has 9 points.
Last night when it got tight in the 4th quarter, Bear Lake used their spacing, spread the floor.
Miller for 3. And the guard play of Moscow keeping them in it as they trail it now 53-46. 4 minutes to go in the game.
Last 3 buckets for Moscow come from the three-point line. It's a good way to catch up, but now you need to be smart with your writ. If you're going to foul a poor free throw shooter. If you're going to double up, do it in the corner. Good idea.
This is Bear Lake's game right here. They love to spread the floor.
Good spacing, Mike. When you have spacing, this is where you look for the backdoor cut.
Wallenstein flashed open momentarily. Instead, Bears hang on to it. Remember, no shot clock, so Bear Lake at a real advantage here. 9 team fouls on Moscow as well. There'll be 2 shots for Bear Lake on the next foul.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is how it finishes up for Bear Lake offensively. One that got away for Moscow.
Miller had the steal, couldn't control it, and Bear Lake gets a break there.
An errant pass. Fell into the right hand.
Hand check will be called on Dudley, his second personal. He was guarding Carlson out top. 3:02 remaining.
Looking for the steal. Too much hand. They're going to call that, especially at this level, with the right hand on the back of Carlson.
Going to the line will be Kip Carlson. But first, Coach Ken Parks wants to make sure that his team's on the same game page. And he calls timeout with 3:02 remaining. Bear Lake on top, 53-46. In the A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout.
Real Dairy Shootout. Nice involvement, hasn't it been, for the United Dairymen of Idaho? This is their 13th year involved with high school sports in Idaho, and over $1.3 million supported, yes, to the youth of America, such as those rabid fans here at Holt Arena. Remember the state championship this year that we had a chance to cover? State football championships, Highland defeating Nampa, and it was Troy Bell, who we'll see later on tonight, who had 287 yards rushing. But the Dairymen sponsoring all the championship events, the wrestling state championships going on
next weekend right here at Holt Arena. And that's one of the largest tournaments in the state of Idaho.
But it's not just sports for the Dairymen. Helping out debates, speech, drama. I just really think when you don't have that kind of involvement, it's the kids who end up suffering, and United Dairymen stepping up. So these kids have this kind of opportunity. This is a nice setting. Crowds into it. Bring the stands in a little bit on the side opposite from us. But you're right, 9,000 fans here enjoying championship competition.
And how many times does a high schooler get a chance to do that? Carlson burying the free throw.
Bear Lake in this tournament, 41 of 63, 65%. So they've been steady from the line. Went 7 for 9 in the first half.
More importantly, they hit the free throws down the stretch, which they did in their semifinal win over Kellogg. As you mentioned, they went to the line 44 times in that win, hit 30 of them. Moscow calling timeout after the 2 free throws by Carlson, which puts Bear Lake up by 9 at 55-46. Chance now for Don Dudley to reset some strategy as Jason Keep will now check back into the lineup for Moscow. And the big people from Moscow have been very quiet in this second half of play, maybe going a little bit timid with all that foul difficulty.
Foul troubles change the mindset. You know you have to be careful. You can't be aggressive. And Ken Parks trying to pump up the Bears of Bear Lake. Moscow trying to stay in this with the coach's son, Ryan Dudley. From up top, 22 feet, bottom of the net. Dudley's 3 coming in between 2 3-pointers by Miller, the junior point guard, and that's not a bad little backcourt to look forward to next year. 2 guys that can score, 2 that can break it down with the dribble. You have Keep coming back as well at 6'10".
Moscow's very tough team coming back with Strobel and Keep, and you also have Miller, Owen, and Dudley all coming back. So a lot to look forward to next year for this Bear basketball team.
They're not concerned about that right now. They're worried about one thing, getting a bucket, getting back into this.
Keep was open on the left block. Dudley didn't see him, though. Dudley drives inside. There's Lathan. Can't hit the layup, but Keep with the putback. Keep his first bucket of the second half. He has 9 points. The lead at 55-48, Bear Lake. And now time a factor, less than 2.5 minutes to go.
Wallentyne is probably your best free throw shooter. Number 12 for Bear Lake. You want to come and meet the basketball. If you're in pressure, fake a pass, make a pass. And that's a nice job to come meet the pass when you know you're in trouble and you've picked up your dribble.
Passy is open right side and buries it. It's a 2-pointer. His foot was on the line. But Passy hitting a huge bucket there for Bear Lake as they go up 57-48.
He's played big offensively. Some clutch shots. Been a spark.
That was a huge shot there. He misses that, and the coach may not be looking at him too favorably. And Keep walks with the basketball down on the block as the defense of Brady Carlson forces the turnover on Keep, and Moscow will call timeout. 1:46 remaining in the fourth period of play. Bear Lake leading at 57-48.
When you look back at some of the A2 history at the state championship, Sugar Salem repeating in 94 after a championship in 93. Preston, in fact, 2-time winners, 89 and 90. And Rigby, what a run they had. They'll now be representing the A1. And that started in 1987, but Rigby had a run where they won 4 championships in the span of, I believe, 6 years. But this was a team that 6 championships in A2 at this level, moved up, and they won the next year at A1.
Yeah, won 7 titles in 11 years under Elliot Anderson at Rigby. We take a look at the last shot from Passy. That's a huge shot in this basketball game. Because at this point, if you're Bear Lake, you don't need to shoot the basketball with the lead, but he almost put the dagger through the heart of Moscow with that jump shot. And thus giving Bear Lake a 9-point lead. And Bear Lake with the basketball with 1:46 to go after the Moscow turnover. Now Moscow in a situation where they almost have to foul, and they have 2 team fouls, or 10 team fouls, excuse me. As a foul at center court going on Dudley as he fouled Keach.
Miller can't afford a foul. He has 4 fouls. Number 21 for Moscow. They've taken Keep out, at least they did for the press attack, to see if they could use the quickness to get a steal, and now Keep will come back into the game as a rebounder and offensive player. So you see the strategy, the little chess game going on very much so tonight.
Moscow with just 1 timeout left. Bear Lake has 3. Bear Lake in control of things right now as Chet Keach. His 19th point, looking for 20.
Solid game. He really has done it on both ends.
20 points for Chet Keach, leading the way for Bear Lake. Dudley going into the key. Brady Carlson with a rebound.
Spread it out, look for the back door. If you're the defense, maintain the ball pressure, take the risk.
Foul called on Moscow. Going to go on Dudley again. Now he has 4 personal fouls, so Moscow running out of people that can give fouls.
Wallenstein with the basketball. Take care of it. So steady at the free throw line. This is his comfort zone.
$13 points now for Wallenstein. He's the big play guy for Bear Lake. Hits both free throws. Hit a huge shot at the end of the 3rd period of play for Bear Lake as they are just 1:15 away from their first state title. Miller can't hit it. Keach had it and was fouled by Lathan. Lathan his 2nd personal. Thus, the march to the free throw line for Bear Lake. Bear Lake, meanwhile with just 5 team fouls.
Just rolling out on the 3, it's Keach. Everywhere. Screening out. I'd say doing it in both halves as well. 11 points in the first half. What, on his way? Is this 11 now in the second half?
10 points with that free throw.
He knocks down 2, he'll equal his halves. That's just steady play.
And the senior, last game of his career, you always want to go out a winner. It looks like Chet Keach will as he has 22 points. Leading the way for Bear Lake, 63-48. Peterson will try a 3 and hits it. Scott Peterson's 2nd 3, drawing Moscow within 63-51. Less than a minute, as you can see. Passy had a man over, but a foul at midcourt.
Passy, if he could have done it in one motion, the catch, the turn, and the rifle pass, it would have been nice to see, but you could almost see the mind thinking. Just couldn't release the basketball, and David Moscow Bears a chance to catch up to Passy.
Brad Steinball checking into the game for Moscow. We'll have a timeout with 51.6 seconds remaining. And I'm sure an opportunity for both of these coaches to bring in some of their players who haven't seen a lot of playing time throughout the year or the state tournament. And
But
the final
teams,
50 seconds.
Both teams not afraid to go the 8-9 deep during the competitiveness of it all. And now it's just a case of let some of these guys share the moment. Let them enjoy what's happening here, a state championship. You may fall a little bit short, at least if you're Moscow, but enjoy it. you may not be back here. Remember, 1980, the last time Moscow won a state championship, and you'd have to go back to, what, the first final for Bear Lake since 1967, and the first time for their coach as well, Ken Parks. So it's definitely a memorable moment, one that these kids won't forget.
And certainly the fans of Bear Lake won't forget as they look for their first state championship ever, and there's really no replacement for that first one. There's a lot of programs that have won state titles over the year, but when it's your first time, it's extra special. And Bear Lake with a very large contingent here at Holt Arena, ready to celebrate it. As Passy going to the line, hitting 1 of 2. Ball knocked out of bounds and lost by Moscow. Things just not going Moscow Bears' way in this final quarter of play. Ken Parks still pretty intense, even though his team leading it by 13. Kip Carlson baseline, can't hit it.
Good elevation, though, by Kip Carlson, showing some of the hop.
Miller open from 3, can't hit it. Keep going for the loose ball. We're going to have a foul called on Bear Lake's Wallenstein.
Over the back of 6'10" Jason Keefe. The wide body. Here's the missed shot. Long shots produce long rebounds. We'll see Wallenstein. Now the tail end of that, the contact had already occurred with Keefe.
Brady Carlson will check out of the basketball game to a huge ovation.
Carlson had a terrific state championship run. He opened things with 10 points in the first game, 22 points last night. Steady play tonight.
Finishes with 11 points.
Double figures in all 3 games.
Been the go-to guy all year long for Bear Lake. Deep inside, walks with it. He went in for the jam. Instead, the turnover gives it back.
Would have been the first dunk of the night. Good dish here by Dudley. And just taking one too many, but strong to the hoop.
Chet Keach now checking out for Bear Lake. Huge night for that senior. 22 points. He led Bear Lake in scoring.
And I can say this, the number 2 seed when this tournament started, you know what to expect, an early foul. Nonetheless, a 2 seed for Bear Lake when this tournament started. They defeat number 1 in the first round. They defeat number 4 in the semis. They now defeat number 3 on their way. So they had to go through the best, and they've survived. A lot of emotion.
Colin Passy and Russ Wallenstein checking out. Passy will be back next year, just a junior, but the entire starting 5 for Bear Lake graduating. So Bear Lake will come back inexperienced next year. But this program starting to build.
How about 10 for 11 in the last 3+ minutes from the free throw line? Make it 11 for 12. You can throw out 65%. They've made their free throws down the stretch in this state tournament in the fourth quarter when it matters.
And Carlson will get to check out. Kip Carlson, the entire starting 5. Heading to the bench for Bear Lake. They lead at 66-51. Final 30 seconds. This A2 championship of the Real Dairy Shootout. Turnover for Moscow. Stolen by Peterson of Moscow. He'll go down for the 3. Can't hit. That's Jacobson for Bear Lake. He'll be fouled in the backcourt.
Mugged.
For lack of a better term.
Letting them play. At the end, you also don't want to, create the risk, increase the risk. The end of a tough season, but there'll be some players back for Moscow. That's Dudley, the coach's son. Head in the hands, and it's 6'10", Jason Keefe to his right. They'll get a shot. They'll get a nice little run next year. Tough to think that far ahead right now.
Jacobson in the scorebook with his first point. As Owen will check out for Moscow. Sean Richards, 6'1" junior, will check in. Just 10 seconds remaining. See the hustle there. Great effort on the part of Ben Olson of Bear Lake. Final seconds ticking down. And Bear Lake, the Bears, state champions in A2 for 1996 as they win it over Moscow by a score of 67-51.
See that index finger, indeed. The first ever for their head coach, Ken Parks, the first ever state championship for the school in boys basketball. Apropos, isn't it?
Great moment when you come out on the winning end. Meanwhile, congratulations to Moscow. Coach Don Dudley, just his second year as the head coach. His Bears finishing the runner-up status, but as we mentioned earlier, a lot of players coming back next year for this program, so it wouldn't surprise us if we see them in this game next season. Bear Lake winning it 67-51, and we should mention Jeff Caves coming up here in just a few minutes after the trophy presentation. We'll have highlights for you of the A4 and A3 championship games in the Real Dairy Shootout, which took place earlier this afternoon here at Holt Arena. Another school winning their first state title in basketball, so you want to stick around for that, as we'll have highlights for you right here from Holt Arena.
Somebody has to be on that losing end. Unfortunately for Moscow and Don Dudley, that's the case tonight.
Bear Lake winning the state championship, finishing with a record of 22-3, and as you mentioned earlier in the telecast, Sean, could have been an unbeaten season if not for a few breaks here and there for Bear Lake, but they'll take the championship banner, which will go in the school gymnasium next year. Meanwhile, Moscow, under head coach Don Dudley, finishing the year at 20-4. Nice contingent of fans making it down here for Moscow, and that's quite a road trip, particularly with all the flooding problems that have been going on in the northern panhandle area. Coach Don Dudley will say a few words now.
The thing I'd like to do is thank the United Dairymen, Idaho State, and Holt Arena, and all the people and officials here in Pocatello that made our stay so fine. I want to say I'm really proud of my guys. They're a young bunch, they're very scrappy, and we had some great seniors who gave us some leadership. And I want to thank all the Moscow people who came down here to support us. And I want to say I think we'll look forward to being back here next year. Now, let's call players up one by one to accept their medals. Scott Peterson, senior. Let's go, Scotty. Oh, you give it to him, okay? Yeah, Scott. Okay, coming all the way through the line, guys. Jeff Lathan, senior. Good job, Jeff. Zeke Johnson, senior. Brad Steinbaugh, senior. Brad. Adam Miller, junior. Ryan Dudley, junior. Good job, Ryan. Drew Owen, Jr. Go, Drew. Good job, Owen. Jason Keith, Jr. Let's go, Drew. Let's go. Let's go. Scott Strobel, Jr. Gus Johnson, Jr. Chad Curtis, Jr. Sean Richards, Jr. Jamie Westberg, sophomore. And Russ Cosgrove, sophomore. Oh, thank you. Is that it? Again, I just want to thank everybody for making our stay so pleasant. Thank you again.
Moscow coach Don Dudley. Go over some of the final statistics before the awarding of the banner. Sean, leading the way for Bear Lake tonight. Chet Keach with 22 points, one of 4 Bears in double figures tonight. Russ Wallentyne with 14, Brady Carlson with 11, and Colin Passy with 12 off the bench. And there it is, state championship banner, which will go to Bear Lake High School. Their first ever. Meanwhile, Moscow led tonight. Adam Miller with 18 points, leading the way for the Bears. Ryan Dudley and Jason Keefe with 9 points apiece. But it wasn't enough tonight for Moscow as Bear Lake playing the trophy and the banner. Brady Carlson there.
One of the co-captains, along with Chet Keach. Outstanding game by Keach. Carlson steady in the tournament. Hoist it proudly, gentlemen.
Coach Ken Parks now have a few words to say to this crowd.
I would like to congratulate Moscow on a great game. They're a great young team and they have a great future. Also, appreciate the United Dairymen of Idaho. A little nervous. Pocatello, ISU, all those at Reed Gym, you run a great tournament. We appreciate that. And many thanks to the great fans, Bear Lake High School. Thanks to our administration. I want to thank our assistant coaches and everybody that helps this team. At this time, I'd like to introduce the members, starting with the sophomores. We have Jason Ewing. Hey, nice job. Ephraim Hodge. We have juniors Josh Passy. Ryan Eborn. Ben Olson. Colin Passy. And to this year's seniors, Bart Thomas. Trevor Jacobson. Kessie Anderson. Evan Hodge. Kip Carlson. Russ Wallentyne. The team captains, Chet Keach. Brady Carlson. And at this time, we'd like to present the last medal to Jaron and Tony Pugmire, the parents of our teammate, Cody Pugmire.
Of course, they mentioned Cody Pugmire, teammate that was killed 2 weeks before the start of the season this year. Been an emotional year for this Bear Lake basketball team. They have seen it through and share this moment with the parents.
You could feel the emotion with Ken Parks, almost overwhelmed just bringing up the thought of Cody Pugmire. And a nice moment here. You know winning's important. And on the other end, the losers in Moscow still realizing when you dedicate a moment like that to Cody Pugmire, well worth it.
You see the emotion right there. Ken Parks call his basketball team together. Bear Lake winning the state championship by a final of 67-51. Celebrating their first ever A2 basketball championship. I know a lot of folks down in Bear Lake watching our telecast tonight, celebrating along with this basketball team. Final word for Cody Pugmire at the end. They've done that all year long.
Indeed, they meet at center court. And in unison, a tribute to Cody Pugmire, as we had mentioned.
Bear Lake winning it by a final of 67-51. Momentarily, Jeff Caves will be along with Ken Parks to talk about things. Chet Keach leading the way, co-captain with 22 points tonight, 14 points for Russ Wallentyne. And it's just a great effort on the part of Bear Lake all night long.
And free throws as well, a storyline tonight, Mike. You just see percentages, but you get a look at some of the numbers. 7 for 19. Moscow tried to come back and get back into the game in the second half, knocking down some threes. They had some success, but really just not enough. Moscow goes 4 for 10 from the free throw line. That's how you have the 40%, and 77 equating to 24 free throws in 31 attempts, outscoring Moscow by 20 points at the free throw line in a game that was won by 16 points. So that's obviously where it was won, and also Bear Lake knocking down 12 of 14 to end the contest. They did it when it mattered.
Did it all throughout this state tournament, as a matter of fact, knocking down free throws, playing solid defense. That's how you win championships, and right now Jeff Caves with a happy coach.
All right, we're the Real Dairy Shootout champions for the A2 division. The head coach, Ken Parks, congratulations. With an emotional game from start to finish. It finishes with more emotion with Cody Pugmire and what he meant to this team. Was that a spirit going through that locker room and through these guys on the court? No question about it. It took us through the end of the year. It took us through this tournament, and I think it especially took us through this state tournament. No question about it.
First major victory for Bear Lake, and now the Bears are the Real Dairy Shootout champions. Maybe you've got some tradition to start for yourself?
You bet. This is the first state championship ever, and gosh, what can I say? I don't think it's settled in, but this is a great bunch of kids. They've been focused all year long, and I don't think anything was denying them.
Give us some comments about these kids. What have they meant? What have they gone through to get here? I mean, they had some big upsets along the way in this Real Dairy Shootout tournament, and now they defeat a pretty good Moscow team fairly handily at the end.
Yes, you know, you realize we opened with the #1 rated team in the state, and then we played the second night the #3 ranked team in the state, and then ended with the #4. I can't say enough about them. Just their execution, their intensity on the defense. They played well. They've been close all season long. They've just done an outstanding job staying together as a team.
All right, thanks, Coach. We're going to talk to one of your captains here quickly. Chet Keach, 22 points, outstanding effort. Give us some reflections on the effort today.
We just come out and played good, tough defense and played our hardest. We knew this was a big one for us, and first one ever. We're excited.
What about your attack against the big 6'10" man from Moscow?
We knew that they're good, tough players. We knew if we just went around them, use our quickness, and go around them, we'd be all right.
All right, congratulations to you on your Real Dairy Shootout Championship. Great effort.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we are live from Holt Arena. We'll come back. We'll give you the highlights from both the A4 and A3 Real Dairy Shootouts as we continue from Holt Arena.